Hi everyone, welcome to today's Government Structure Committee meeting of the Los Angeles City Charter Reform Commission. So excited that you're here with us today as we continue with our deliberations for this committee. I'm going to start with some housekeeping and taking roll. The chair is present. Commissioner Fuentes.
Present.
Commissioner Mack.
Present.
Perfect. We do have a quorum. We have 100% attendance if you ask me. We're now going to move on to approval of the meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any opposition? Seeing no opposition, the meeting minutes are approved. We're going to begin with public comment. Please note we will have remote public comment today, but we're going to start with in-person public comment. If you do need translation services, it's accessible in the back of the room. Please feel free to meander there if necessary. But yes, I'll leave it to staff now to facilitate with public comment in person.
Fantastic, grabbing the list. This is a one-item meeting, so one item plus general public comment will be up to 2 minutes of public comment. I will call people up 3 at a time. We only have 4, so I'll call everyone up, and I'll ask you to tell me how long you would like to speak, and I will also give you a 30-second warning on your time being up. So we have signed up is Ross, Marcella, Chris, and Mike. Ross, Marcella, Chris, and Mike in that order. We also adjust the camera for you. Ross, how long would you like?
2 minutes, please.
2 minutes. Okay. 2 minutes. And begin.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Ross Weisschopfer. I'm representative of Fair Rep LA Coalition, and I wanted to uplift a recommendation that's in the staff report that was added back in the last minute precisely because I believe that it is so important, and most importantly, it represents an important recommendation for all members of the Fair Rep LA Coalition. And to continue this brief story, you might recognize me because I am here at almost every meeting, but I was not here yesterday, and that was because I was giving a presentation to a nonprofit in New York City called Why Vote, which serves New York youth and fosters civic engagement. And the presentation I gave to them was about how to communicate to build trust in their communities and how they could use that skill to become change makers in their communities. But after the presentation, I heard that this really resonated with the young people because they felt that they needed to build trust with adults. And the words that I literally hear them say to me is, I'm 16, I can't even vote. Why and how can I get involved in my community when adults don't trust me with the right to vote? So I am here because that is simply so important, and that is something that all Fair Rep LA members believe in, but also because I think this goes back to the question of why am I here at almost every single meeting? Why am I so civically engaged? I think it goes back to when I was in high school. I started my own election judge program in the state of Colorado that allowed those young people under 18 to register to vote, to get involved. It is simply a reality that it takes time, practice, and trust to get involved in our local democracy. And that is precisely why we need to allow young people the opportunity to show that they are trusted to be members of our Los Angeles democracy. And I ask that you highlight this recommendation in the staff report. Thank you.
Thank you. 2 minutes. All right, Marcella, please come up. 1 or 2 minutes. All righty, and go.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you again for allowing us to do public comment, and to the staff for their great work. Again, my name is Marcela Miranda Prieto. I'm the ED at Cal RCV, and I just want to reiterate where Cal RCV stands and what it's recommending the Commission once again. We are recommending 3-seat districts with proportional ranked choice voting. We believe upon doing the studies and doing some data analysis that across every model we examined from 7 to 15 districts, 3-seat districts, equivalent to city councils of 45, 39, 33, 27, and 21, we saw that PRCV consistently produces substantially better representation than the current system that we have. We saw that PRCV also is going to reduce better outcomes for representation and getting more voices out there from the voters' perspective. Additionally, we want to recommend that you hold a single November RCV election, so we want to get rid of primary if you do PRCV. We also know that the turnout in the primaries is substantially low and it's not representative of your electorate, which is why we recommend this. If you decide that you don't want to go with PRCV, we strongly recommend you pursue single winner RCV because that is much better than the contingent runoff system that you have, and it will provide an update or an upgrade, as we like to call it, from the system you have. Like I said last time, we want you guys to bring experts from New York City to show you the ropes on the voter education and implementation aspect. We want experts from Portland to come talk to you about the governance aspect of running PRCV elections. And additionally, we believe that we should lower the voting age to 16 because these young folks are the ones that are going to be dealing with the issues that we are currently having
And
in our city. Thank you.
so much. Chris? 1 or 2 minutes? Alrighty, and go.
Hello Commissioners, I'm Chris Marion and I'm here to support council expansion, multi-member districts, and the election of council members with ranked choice voting. Using proportional ranked choice voting with 3-seat districts will improve representation of minorities, reduce election costs, and make it much easier to draw fair district maps. The difficulties with redistricting are one of the main reasons we are here today, and multi-member districts are much less sensitive to gerrymandering. While there will be some upfront costs associated with the transition, the long-term costs associated with removing primaries will be significant for election administration, public matching funds, and the candidates themselves. Portland has dealt with this exact situation, and their implementation expertise should be heard here. I strongly encourage this committee to invite experts from the cities that use ranked choice voting to alleviate fears associated with such a change. My favorite part of ranked choice voting is that the voters get to vote the candidates that they support the most instead of gaming out how other people vote. And I think the positive effects on the election dynamics have been borne out across the country. Thank you, Commissioners, for your consideration.
Thank you so much. And Mike Feinstein. 1 or 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
And go.
So I'm here today on my birthday.
Happy birthday.
And todavía soy joven en espíritu. And the reason that I'm young in spirit still is when there are paradigm shift moments before us, that gets me really excited. And the debate that Los Angeles needs to have on improving how it handles its city council elections is in your hands. Your committee here, and then ultimately the commission, can put ideas forward that the whole city needs to debate. And what the council is going to do, how the community is going to react, we don't know, but we know they're not going to have a chance to react unless you move forward both the ridiculous contingent runoff system that LA uses, where you have lower turnout, less diverse primaries actually making key decisions either about who gets elected or who moves forward. That is insane in a city that is as cool and diverse as LA. And then the question, as we've been talking about for months, about single-seat districts versus multi-seat districts. That debate has to happen. So if you recommend to the larger commission,
30 seconds.
And then they at least put forward to the community after January that this is one of the things we really have to study, then it's going to start getting the exposure and the debate it needs. Other thing I'll add is when I ran for Secretary of State in 2018, 16-year-old right to vote was in my platform then. I've always been for it, and I hope that you support that as well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And now Kate's going to administer public comment on virtual.
If you'd like to give remote public comment, please raise your hand using the raise your hand feature. Our first speaker is going to be Chris. How much time would you like?
3 minutes, please.
All right, 1 second, Chris. We're gonna get the audio fixed on our end.
Okay, I'll wait. Just let me know when to start.
Thank you so much for your patience. All right, Chris, 2 minutes starting now.
Right now, we elect our leaders through plurality voting, a system that consistently fails to reflect who we are as a city. When communities are split across districts, their votes are effectively wasted. And the result is predictable. Communities of color and other minorities are chronically underrepresented. This isn't an accident. It's built into the structure of plurality elections. Plurality voting also fuels vote splitting, which pressures people to vote against the candidates they believe in and instead choose the one they think can win. That dynamic discourages participation and silences new voices before they ever reach the ballot. And perhaps most damaging, plurality elections intensify polarization at a moment when democracy and basic decency feel under threat. We are relying on a system that actively discourages coalition building, the very thing our city needs most. There is a better way. Proportional ranked choice voting, also known as single transferable voting, has been used around the world to solve exactly these problems. In multi-seat districts, it produces proportional outcomes. It ensures that if a community makes up 20% of a district, it has a real chance at 20% representation. PRRCV is also adaptable. The council can choose district sizes that balance neighborhood identity with true proportionality. This isn't an untested experiment. There is decades of proven guidance on ballot design,
30
counting,
seconds.
auditing, and voter education, with a thoughtful rollout including pilots and multilingual outreach implementation. It is entirely feasible, and the democratic benefits are immense. Expanding the city council is a once-in-a-generation opportunity, but if we expand without changing the voting method, we will simply magnify the failures of plurality elections. This is our chance to build a more representative, collaborative, and genuinely democratic
And that's
city.
2 minutes.
Let's not
Thank
miss
you,
it.
Chris. Our next speaker is gonna be Rob. How much time would you like?
Rob Kwan, 2 minutes.
All right, 2 minutes starting now.
I want to just start by saying I'm grateful that we have remote public comment. I've got to take my dog to the vet this afternoon and I couldn't join otherwise. On the issue of voting age, I do find it funny that we get basically zero research from the staff on this issue. Might be nice for our commissioners to be reminded that Oakland and Berkeley recently lowered the voting age for their school board elections, and that LAUSD even studied it recently. My take is the youth are inheriting a god-awful world from us, and the least we can do is give them some semblance of a voice and control over their own destiny. Also, voting is largely a habit, and I think we're better off fostering that at 16 when people are still at home in the communities they have some familiarity with. My first vote was for Howard Dean. I turned 18 just before the 2004 presidential primary, and it was really helpful to have my parents around to make sure I knew how to vote, offer to take my ballot to the polls, and nag me for waiting until the last minute to vote after I insisted on taking it myself. There is a claim in here that the youth could lack the ability and motivation to participate effectively in the electoral process. And I'd say, yeah, that might apply to a large chunk of voters and people in this country. That could also be said for a bunch of elderly voters. So if we're gonna get really condescending, maybe we should cut off voting eligibility at the age of 85. On the issue of the public advocate, I think it's important to note why this was born
30
in
seconds.
New York City. They were concerned about enlarging the council and how that would give the mayor more power. And they wanted to ensure there was some sort of checks and balances. Not just for the mayor, but the council president. And on the Fed tapes, what did we hear? A lot of people are forgetting about this. We heard a tyrannical council president, and you know what? She wasn't that unique. That is the position. The position is corrupting itself. And we need to keep that in mind. This is something where New York City, the main reason we see opposition there is NYPD has
That's time. Thank you, Rob. Our next speaker is gonna be Renee. Renee, how much time would you like?
I'll take 2 minutes.
All right, 2 minutes starting now.
You've heard a lot of really good comments already about the effects of RCV and how it could really benefit Los Angeles. So going a little bit past that, I'd like to offer something a little bit different in the reasoning why we need to enact this, which is that LA County prints the ballots for many more municipalities than just Los Angeles. So while this is important for Los Angeles to have, it's also important to remember that without implementing this, our voter equipment doesn't have any way for any of these other municipalities to choose whether they want that for themselves. I know that Redondo Beach recently got ranked choice voting enacted in their elections. They had to set up their own infrastructure to tabulate those votes themselves. This may or may not be feasible for all of the different municipalities that are in Los Angeles County, but it is something that many cities are exploring and are interested in. I've heard from many people across these cities asking for it. So just putting out another thing to consider, of course, all of the benefits to Los Angeles and everything, and that's what the focus of this meeting should be about. But it's also important to remember the effect that we have on other cities throughout this county. And if we don't enact this and we don't give any of those cities the ability to do that for themselves, we are essentially bottlenecking their own power. I'll yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is going to be Bella. How much time would you like? Bella, can you hear
Yes,
us?
thank you very much. I guess 2 minutes or 3 minutes, somewhere about.
All right, 2 minutes starting now.
Thank you very much, commissioners. This is my first time meeting you. Most of the beginning audio was not audible, want you to know. I am Bella DeSoto here in LA County, taking care of my mom. She's over 96 now. I mentioned that just as a backdrop. I want to speak, I was not able to go over your agenda to the actual points you're trying to move about, but I want to support ranked choice voting, which California, which Los Angeles has fallen behind. It should have been at the forefront in adopting this voting system, which is truly democratic at all fronts. Further, I want you to consider to do some research on the top 2 primaries amendment that was proposed with Proposition 14 in 2010. The voters were not educated on this proposition, and it was held in June state elections of 2010. This was actually a constitutional amendment that effectively transformed California non-presidential elections from first past the post to a nonpartisan blanket primary, which is a 2-round system.
30 seconds.
The reason why I mention this is because I am a socialist and I am registered with the Peace and Freedom Party of California, the only socialist electoral party since 1967. However, we socialists, we do not have too many choices because of such amendments, because of such unilateral decisions to make it even more difficult for third parties
And that's
to enter
time.
the
Thank you,
election
Bella.
frame. May I have an
Our next speaker is going to be Isaac. How much time would you like?
Just a minute would be great. Thank you.
Great. 1 minute starting now.
And thank you to all the commissioners who are here and doing this important work. I know there's been a lot of comments in favor of ranked choice voting, so I won't go on for too long, but I'm in favor of ranked choice voting because it ultimately allows voters to choose the candidate that they want rather than who they think will win and vote strategically, which I don't think is effective for real civic engagement and democracy. I'm also in favor of 3-member districts with the proportional ranked choice voting because each representative will more accurately reflect what their district wants. I yield my time. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is going to be Atticus. How much time would you like?
Yeah. Can I get 2 minutes?
Yes, 2 minutes starting now.
Okay, so I just wanted to say I agree with the previous speaker that said this is kind of a paradigm shift. I'm an EMT. I've been an EMT for 6 years. I've worked in LA County. I've worked for Lifeline Ambulance. And, I think with ranked choice voting, just as we saw in New York City, these are really, really paramount changes that we can ask ourselves, how do we want to help people and how do we want to represent them? Right now, the Trump administration is taking on Medicare, it's taking on Medicaid, and it's slashing these funds. And the thing is, we're the 4th largest economy in the world in California. The real question is, why aren't we driving our proportional representation and our tax dollars to basically fund these programs that we know represent who we are as a state? And I'm a great favor of proportional ranked choice voting, and I really urge you guys to consider this. I mean, just from working on the streets of Los Angeles, I think a lot of the mental health care crisis is really convoluted, and it takes a multi-factored approach. I mean, it takes housing, it takes mental health awareness, it takes basically making sure that people are getting the education they need, the housing that they need. And if we can actually expand on that in California, we're going to become the greatest economy in this country. And I think progressive ranked choice voting is the way that we do that. I yield my time.
Thank you. And the last speaker is Aaron. Aaron, how much time would you like?
Hi there. 2 minutes should be fine, probably less.
All right, 2 minutes starting now.
All right, thank you so much. Hello, I'm Orange Peter Castelline. I'm a resident of downtown Los Angeles, and I'm also the LA chapter chair for the Equal Vote Coalition, where we primarily advocate for a voting reform called star voting. Thank you so much for hearing from us, and I'm especially grateful today that you're now offering remote public comment. We have submitted written comment on the November 12th meeting with our recommendation to expand the council to at least 21 members using single member districts with star voting. This will be an important step to make electeds more accountable to their voters and to ensure that more communities are properly represented in the council. Unlike other voting methods, under star voting, candidates are incentivized to represent their entire district. In a competitive star voting election, candidates will need 5s from their base as well as 1s, 2s, and 3s across the board in order to be one of the frontrunners. And as a voter, if your faction doesn't make it to STAR's automatic runoff, your vote still gets counted towards your backup option. This gives minority populations in the district leverage over their elected officials that they wouldn't have under the other single member methods, and all without needing to add the complexity of multi-member districts. Again, I support increasing the council size and redrawing districts to help ensure all groups are represented, and star voting is your best option to maximize representation gains from those reforms. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and that concludes remote public comment.
Did we miss anyone in the audience? No. Nick, there you go. Yep, anyone, if there's anyone else, yes, feel free.
Oh, please go first, actually. Give me a second to get my parents. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I couldn't wait. Thank you.
1 or 2 minutes?
2 minutes, please.
Okay. The camera will we were turned around. No worries. Fine, go ahead.
Hello, commissioners, and thank you for being here. My name is Elijah Altman. I'm a California native and have been a resident of District 2.
A little closer to the mic if you can. Thank you so much.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
I'm also a member of the Ray for LA campaign, and I'm here to understand what is going on so that I can advise that council on what we want our positions to be. I'm here for the first time today to echo the need to expand the city council, rebalance the power of the city council and the mayor, and to call for ranked choice voting. I'm also here because I tried to listen to this meeting yesterday, and the echo in this room made the conversation vastly unintelligible. I'm lucky that I can get on a train in the middle of the day and come down here to listen, but I know many people cannot, and so I'm hoping that we can improve the technological component of this a little bit. I will yield the rest of my time, and let us move on with the meeting.
Thank you so much. And last, Nick. One or 2 minutes.
I will do 2 minutes if I can.
Alrighty, and go.
Thank you very much, commissioners, for having me here. I do appreciate it very, very much. My name is Nicholas Kapoor. I'm the founder of Livable Advanced LA, and I work a lot with this commission on many things. And I would like to just simply say to advocate to expand the city council to about 29 members. Most city council members, when they think about the kind of council they would be relatively easy to expand to, they think in 20s, so we should probably get the most amount of reform we can get for our efforts. And I also believe that we should automatically resize the council at every census to the lowest odd number, where no council member has less than 135,000 constituents. This has an automatic kind of safeguard built into it, so when our city grows, we have more representation automatically for that, and if council really catastrophically fails and the city starts to shrink, they're forced to work together at the behest of possibly losing one of their jobs. One of the things we can also do easily to encourage more civic participation and representation is also have ranked choice voting throughout for all city elections. And additionally, I would also like to bring up the idea of an automatic charter reform commission, mandatory every 10 years at maximum, ideally every 5 years. I was originally on the vote of every 20 years. Councilmember Tim McCosker told me to go every 10 years, and then Ted Stein was the one that told me to consider every 5 years. So it would appear to be the most, people you would imagine to be the most conservative would be the ones that are pushing for more reform faster. So I'm like, let's party, let's go every 5 years.
And 30 seconds.
But the biggest things I would advocate for are expanding the city council size to 29 members, and that's not just because we would get more representation, but because we get smaller geographic boundaries. Downtown Los Angeles would finally be its own independent council district, Watts would be its own council district, Hollywood would be its own independent council district, and we would have council members that are not just good in their word, but also specialists for the communities that they represent. Anyway, that's pretty much all I got for this one, so thank you very much for seeing me today. Thank you.
Perfect, that's two. And Mr. Chair, that concludes public comment for this meeting.
Great, thank you. Now, if there are any neighborhood councils in the room that have approved community impact statements, please feel free to raise your hand on Zoom or stand up in person. Seeing none, we will move on to item number 1 on our agenda, discussion relative to potential government structure related charter amendments, including but not limited to issues related to current city charter provisions and related policies, city council expansion, city executives, city attorney, elections and voting, and possible action regarding related report back requests and related matters. So the way this is going to work, I'm first going to have staff introduce a little bit about what's changed, and then we're going to treat, for the most part, this will be our road work. We're going to treat the proposed reforms table of contents as our roadmap for how this meeting will progress today. Staff, please go ahead and give us your overview first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Great to be with you for this exciting step of the committee and the commission as a whole. We did this last night for the first time with the Infrastructure and Planning Committee, and it went pretty well. It was a great discussion, and they took votes and moved things forward, and we're looking forward to that process as well. In front of you today is, and posted on the website as well, is the updated staff report that was basically feedback we took from last week's committee meeting, and you'll see highlighted the additions that were made to the staff report, and as well we did go through and find additional opportunities to broaden out some of the citations as well. So this was basically those were the two big asks. We did do, I will note, we also did a round of touches with all of those who contributed, their presentations and their reports along the commission's process. We touched base with groups and departments and just asked them one last time, is there anything, any feedback, any changes? And some of those changes are reflected in this report as well. I will say, and I said this last night at the committee as well, that the votes that this committee will be taking today, by no means I will be locking in perpetuity direction. This will help, the votes taken today will help for us, the staff, to be able to further research, further dive deep into the subject matter and start looking at charter sections. We'll be pulling in additional staff throughout the city departments. For example, if you change, if you change one piece of the puzzle, it affects a lot of other pieces of the puzzle, which is the city charter. So we'll need a lot of hands to help us with that. So looking forward to that. But the examples that I've been giving is if you move forward with A and B, but don't want to do C. We'll delve into A and B, but later you could come back and be like, oh, B was not a good idea. We really want to do C, or the commission as a whole could say we really want to move forward with looking at C, and vice versa. So there is time to learn, iterate, adapt, hear additionally from the public on what their thoughts are after you take these votes as well, and that will socialize and we'll hear back from people on those votes, and just keep on going from there. But by no means is this the final vote, the final decision. That this is just really giving staff the votes to move things forward when it comes to research, so we can focus and look at things that don't need focus anymore, and we'll go from there.
Thank you. Great. So we're going to start with city council expansion. We're starting with the big controversial thing first. So we have a couple of options. The first is to increase the number of single-member districts. The second is to increase the number of multi-member districts. And then within each of those options, we have sub-options, and in this case, it's different potential sizes. So I know that the staff talked a lot about this last week, so I'm not going to ask them to re-explain anything and relitigate that. But if you have questions, commissioners, feel free to chime in, because I know that there have been amendments and additions to these sections. But I guess we could start with single-member districts, and we could either decide on a number, or we could figure out which numbers make sense and which don't in this current setting, but I'll leave it to my fellow commissioners to see if they have top-line thoughts. Anyone? I have a thought. I think that the 31, and especially 53 members, it's probably pretty easy to dispose of those right now, but definitely 53. Both being pragmatic and then taking into consideration how much of a change that would be from 15, I think is important. Any other thoughts on the potential options, or do we need staff to go over it again? You can ask that too, I'm happy to.
You're in favor of 53?
No, I'm not necessarily in favor of it. I'm okay with crossing it out. And
Okay.
But do we have a disagreement? Do we have a motion? Commissioner Mack, any?
No, I was also going to say I was looking closer at 1 through 4, and so that is in alignment with my thought process as well.
Okay, great. Commissioner Fuentes?
I agree as well.
Do we want to keep 31 members as a possibility?
I'm happy with 23, 25, or 31.
Okay, so dropping 21 then?
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Mack, you have.
I am also okay with that.
Okay, do we have a motion then to proceed with options A, 2 through 3?
So moved.
Great. Seeing no opposition, we will proceed with.
Who was the second? Sorry on that?
Oh, sorry. Do we have a second on that one?
And second, and then is this room for discussion now?
Yeah, we can talk about discussing that before we have a formal vote.
Yeah. If I can go first, I think I just wanted to voice here in the light of the conversation around expansion, I think I just want to kind of go back to previous full commission meetings that we had, and I think I just want to raise that we are missing Black voices here, and I know we were looking into that in terms of full commission, and so I think this is something we should definitely bring back to full commission to have that conversation, and I think because we're looking at 23, 25, and 31, I think that is a good place for us to have that conversation with our other commission members. But I think I just wanted to remind us that, I think we have great insights here, but we definitely are missing some voices. And I feel like I'm just trying to, whether it's bring in community members to talk about Black concerns around city expansion and government structure, I think I just want to voice again that we're missing that in this committee and so far with the presenters that we've had.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think presenting a range, I agree, is probably the best thing to do because it would give the full body the ability to lock down on a specific number within that range. And I would encourage staff, because after we vote on this, staff will do additional research. I would like to see how, in a little bit further detail, how each of the different numbers could impact the racial makeup and ability for, different communities of interest to elect candidates of choice, particularly, primarily Latino communities, Asian American, and Black communities especially.
Yeah, we'll definitely be sourcing some research on the potential impacts to the communities throughout LA. What I will likely, or staff will likely not be doing, will be creating our own maps. There are tools online that the public and our community groups have certainly used, and commissioners are welcome to use as well. But we just won't be using because I don't want it to be perceived as these are official LA City potential maps. So I think that would interfere with the important work and votes that you're taking. But certainly lots of mapping tools online for people to look at, and we'll do some, of course, data digging on just general demographics, but just not maps.
And I also wanted to thank the presenters from Fair Rep LA as well as RLA for page 9 of our report, section lowercase a. If anyone has that up and would like to go to that page, they provided a really great analysis of what the range that we're discussing here today would do and how it would protect neighborhoods of interest. So I am excited to hear more in terms of from our staff, research that supports that as well.
Yep. Absolutely, yeah. They've been, again, to your point, Commissioner, they've been so helpful at looking at some of these demographics, and a lot of it is caveat is this could be there would be at some if numbers get approved by voters, it'd have to finally go through the Independent Redistricting Commission, which is in the charter. So it's a lot of important demographic, but it's also a lot of guess work that is happening, but it is an important part of the process.
Thank you. I second the voices of the sentiments of both of my colleagues in their statements. Any additional discussion before we have a roll call? The chair votes in favor. Commissioner Fuentes?
In favor.
Commissioner Mack?
Yes.
Great. So just to clarify, we'll be moving forward with A 2 through 3.
Point of order. Would you please restate the motion?
Yes, so the motion was to dispose of, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Mack, but to dispose of single member districts, so section A, options 1 and 5, which would be 21 members and 53 members. So we would proceed with reviewing more information on the 23-member council, a 25-member council, and a 31-member council.
Sorry, also 6.
And no change. Yeah, would get rid of. Yeah. Okay, yes, it would also get rid of 6. Great.
Thank you.
Amazing. Now let's move on to section B, multi-member districts. We have a few options here. We have multi-member districts with 3-member districts, and then that's 1 through 3 with different size number of multi-member districts. And then we have option 4, which is 20 single-member districts and 5 overlapping regional maps. Feel free to review that in your documents, and then we can do a discussion, then motion, or a motion, and then discussion. Any comments on that?
I think as of right now, where I'm at is I would actually want to learn a bit more about, I know we talked about this last meeting, but referring back to the California Voting Rights Act, and I would like to hear more about that piece. It's included in this report, but we haven't really had a full discussion around that. And so I think that's where I'm at in terms of multi-member for this section.
Okay. Commissioner Fuentes.
I think we can eliminate based off of the council size recommendations that we just gave.
I think that means it would eliminate a 5 multi-member district and the 15 multi-member district, so that would leave us with options, and it would eliminate no change, so it would leave us with options 2 and 4 with further exploration to see the procedural posture and the legal framework that this exists within.
Yeah, I'd be comfortable with that.
Okay, then I will actually make that motion. I motion to move forward with a review of 9 multi-member districts and 20 single-member districts that have 5 overlapping regional maps while disposing of options B1, 3, and 5. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this, or do we think that conversation?
I think if I can include a friendly amendment, I think just for 5, I think that is just the section where it talks about the legal implications around the Voting Choice Act, and so I don't want to completely wipe that off, but I just want to include that part, because I feel like that was the section in the staff report that includes the California Voting Rights Act that I personally would like to do a deeper dive.
That's fine. I'll accept that amendment. Happy to. Any other discussion? And good catch, actually. I appreciate it.
So to be clear, the amendment is to make sure that we look at the. I think we would definitely have to look at the California Voting Rights Act when talking about 2 and 4. Anyway, who knows? It might impact the number of members that you just voted above. So that would be a part of the analysis, no matter what.
So yeah, to clarify, the amendment would be going forward with options 2, 4, and 5, and then just further exploring that legal framework that we had been mentioning. Any additional discussion? Great, then we will now open this to a vote. The chair votes yes. Commissioner Mack?
Yes.
Commissioner Fuentes?
Yes.
Great. I'm writing this down too so I can double check staff afterwards. 2, 4, 5. Seems like we're already going a lot quicker than yesterday's committee meeting.
You learn from that.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Great, so we already have gotten through city council expansion, and we have some numbers and frameworks for everyone, potential numbers and frameworks. Now let's move on to new citywide offices. For this one, new citywide offices. We have a few options, and I'll just reiterate it for the committee members while they go through their binder to look at this. But the creation of a chief operating officer, the creation of a chief financial officer, designating the city's controller as the chief financial officer, the creation of a new citywide public advocate office, the creation of an office of the tenant advocate, and then no change to citywide offices. We can either go down 1 through 7, or we can start as a whole. I think it's probably best to go down 1 through 7 in this instance, since they're actually very different proposals as opposed to the last section. So starting with the creation of a chief operating officer, do we have any thoughts about that?
And if I may, Mr. Chair, I know at the previous meeting it was discussed to delve deeper into, which will impact some of this, mayoral authorities. So that whatever is decided here on B, we'll also be doing additional research on that based on previous discussion.
Okay, thank you. Anyone want to kick us off? If not, I'm happy to.
Yeah, I'd be in support of this.
I am too. I'm curious to actually see how it fits into a new mayoral structure.
Yeah, I think we wanted to ask a little bit more clarification around the mayoral authority and adding that in here. Would it be a different section, or can I get a little bit more clarification on what you just said, Justin?
Yeah, we're gonna add a new section, but some of them will be, looped into these existing ones.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and then I would like to guide staff to, and I had said this offline in our check-in, but in the future when you make the new version, really showing how some of these different things fit together. Because there's a lot of overlap, between option A and then with voting and elections, and then the citywide offices all overlap together too. So just, especially when you add in mayors, since that will be new information, really flagging how that could interact with other potential changes.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. That sounds great. I will entertain a motion to proceed forward with COO. I'll entertain any motion, but do I have any motion either way?
So moved.
Great. So this is a motion to have staff proceed with more research on creating a chief operating officer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Great. Let's go through a roll call. The chair votes yes. Commissioner Fuentes?
Yes.
Commissioner Mack?
Yes.
Great. Next on our list is the creation of a chief financial officer. I'm going to start by saying that I have asked to see CAO's recommendations on this, and I know that they will not be presenting until a better government meeting on December 3rd. Personnel and budget in a couple of weeks then. So seeing that we haven't seen any of their recommendations, I'm okay to move forward with CFO because I'd like to see that reflected actually in the future before we, nix it or anything like that. Any other discussion?
I support.
Okay.
I also support.
Great. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Great. Do I have a second?
Second.
The chair, or do I have more discussion before I open to a vote? Seeing none, the chair votes yes. Commissioner Fuentes
Yes.
and Commissioner Mack.
Yes.
Great. It's very funny to have you vote yes on something that both of you, supported, but I think that's enjoyable. The next potential amendment is designating the city controller as the city's chief financial officer. I'll give you time to flip there as I do it myself, but if you want to chime in, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, I support. And I'd be happy to move that forward since we just moved the last one forward.
Do you want to go first?
You can go first.
Yeah, I think I have some initial thoughts. I voiced it in previous committee meetings, but I do think there is value in bringing this conversation to fuller commission around, I think mainly I want to have a clear understanding of what we would say the role of the controller is versus the CFO. I think personally, just speaking for myself, I do not have experience working in the city and in C-suite level, and so I think there is value in bringing this conversation to fuller commission because I know we do have that broader experience there, and then also just generally want to see more research in the delineation between the two roles. Because just from what we've heard from presenters so far, my understanding is that these two roles typically work in tandem with each other and supplement each other. And so I would just want to do more research on that.
And I agree. I'm actually interested in seeing more research onto how this looks and potential amendments. But since we have moved forward the office of the CFO and this is connected to that, I'm happy to second Commissioner Fuentes' motion, and hopefully we see some of that more context and the larger body can point us in the right direction there.
Yeah, and then a question for staff, in terms of the discussion that we're having here today, and kind of the stuff that we're voting to move forward, is our discussion also going to be captured in that for a full commission?
Yeah, so we're mainly taking your motions and using those to move things forward. For example, if you move forward with, it looks like 2 and 3, if those both move forward, they are dissimilar, but they you'll be presented with, at bare minimum, those 2 options, and then hybrids and different examples of how cities across the country do it and how that would look here in LA. So I think by moving those both forward, you'll have, a good spectrum of options.
Yeah, no, that's great. Just wanted to make sure all of our concerns and questions are captured so that we can move it forward to.
We definitely also go back and listen to these.
Great.
When did she? And we've caught ourselves a couple times making sure, going through last night's. We're triple checking, we're capturing the discussion and the intent, if you will, the legislative intent behind these motions as well.
Great.
Great. Anything else before I open this to a vote? Seeing nothing else, the chair votes yes. Commissioner Fuentes?
Yes.
And Commissioner Mack?
Yes.
Great. Our next is number 4, which is the creation of a new citywide elected office, which would be the office of the public advocate. Since it's new, not new to us, but since it's a new role, I'll give our team a little bit of time to review that section. And then if you have any comments in the meantime, feel free.
Yeah, I think just given the amount that the themes of corruption have come up, as well as oversight in all of our commission meetings, all of our committee meetings as well, this would make sense to bring back to our full commission for discussion at the very least. So I'm fully in support of moving this forward.
Okay. I think
Max was just saying that this whole report is definitely going to go to the full commission anyway. Just parts of this report will also have your recommendations as well. And by the time we get to the that commission meeting, we'll have some additional research on the things that you are recommending, but likely not on the things that you necessarily like. We're not going to dive deep into 53 members unless at the commission level they ask us to then go dive deep.
Yeah, and I'll restate that. I support this.
Okay, and I think that with staff's comments in mind, and with our elevated timeline and how much we're probably going to be asking to get changed in the charter, I'm not personally a fan of advancing this as an option, at least in our committee. Obviously, someone in better government could bring it back if they disagree, but that's not where I am right now. But I'll still entertain a motion. But Commissioner Mack, before we do that, do you have any feedback?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm always on the end of exploring ways for there to be more public engagement with city government. And so I would be, I'm always interested in the conversation around increasing public engagement with city government. And so I think for that reason, I would be interested in hearing a little bit more, and so would be in support of moving this forward.
Okay, do I have a motion then?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Great. Commissioner Fuentes?
Yes.
Commissioner Mack?
Yes.
And the chair, I vote no, but it will still move forward. So staff, please send some more information about that. We move in now to the creation of the Office of the Tenant Advocate. And I'll start with that actually. And I totally understand everybody's sentiments about the public advocate, but I think the tenant advocate is something that I can see created in ordinance because there are other citywide elected offices that occur in ordinance. So I'm not necessarily sure that this is something that our commission, especially our committee, should be taking up as a charter level office. And there's already an office of housing. There's a housing office that exists. So I'm not sure how this would fit into it. Those are my takeaways before we have a motion. But does anyone else have any top lines?
I had similar thought process to you, Commissioner Andrades, and I think I also just noting that there is a possible pathway to have a discussion that is not charter related.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Fuentes, do you have?
Yeah, I understand what my fellow commissioners are saying, but I don't think this will happen outside of the charter process. So I still support this moving forward.
Okay, I think that's fair. I'm gonna start with a motion to dispose of it, but with the understanding that this line item still gets sent in the full memo, just it won't be edited and amended. Do I have a second?
Second.
Great. We're gonna start off with a vote. Commissioner Andrades votes yes, Commissioner Fuentes?
No.
And Commissioner Mack?
Yes.
And then, I guess we have to talk about no change too. Obviously, it sounds like we're recommending a few changes.
I don't think you need to.
Yeah, so we don't need to. Okay. Yeah, so there will be hopefully some changes after this moves to the
I think if, like, for example, when you get to a section and you see nothing that you like, you could just go straight to no change and vote to approve that.
Thank you for the clarification. Great. We're now into C, which is current citywide offices, Office of the City Attorney. I guess we can work our way down this list too, unless anybody has any other ideas, but these roles are actually kind of similar. They're not totally dissimilar. They could exist in tandem in the current form. Feel free to shift there in your memo. We are on page 25 through 28, and we can start with, I guess, discussion on C as a whole, actually.
I actually have a question on updates from, I know last meeting we had a motion to see if we can get city approval or council approval to look into a external attorney for this section. So one, I think one is update on that, and then two, Has this section been reviewed by anyone else yet in the meantime?
Thank you. Yeah, so the next day I forwarded that motion to the City Council President's office. They had a busy, from what I heard, end of the week. Because they are on recess this week and next week. So we briefed the City Council President's office this week on it. On the staff side, but we don't expect to have any further update until council comes back after the Thanksgiving. But they are aware of it, they have the motion, and they will hopefully have an update for us after the Thanksgiving break about when that scheduling might happen. And what was the second part of your question? Sorry. Oh, sorry. No one else has reviewed this section since we met last week. I think we made a couple of citation corrections and everything, and everything was highlighted, but we haven't had any other outside or inside counsel review the section.
Great. I think with that in mind, I'm happy to entertain a motion to push all of this forward and wait until we hear back from City Council to talk about that at our next meeting. So I'll motion to move forward just with item C as a whole for the time being. Do I have a second?
Second.
Great. The chair votes in favor of this. Commissioner Fuentes?
Yes.
Sorry. And then Commissioner Mack?
Yes.
Great. So I'm looking forward to seeing more on this option. Now we're gonna move into City Controller. I think we can treat this similar to City Attorney section where we talk about it as a whole, but if any of my fellow commissioners want to hone in on specific items, we can do that and then we can vote on those separately, but as a whole, do we have takeaways? And then I'll entertain some motions. And then this is pages 29 through 30 in our.
I'd support moving it all forward. 1 through 5.
1 through 5, yes. I am supportive of more information. I do think that option 4 in particular, I actually want to shift to the attorney section, the city attorney section, because I know that section would create the Office of Legislative Counsel. And I want to do this for both this controller to hire outside counsel and the IRC to hire outside counsel. I think, in my mind, it's better to have a discussion about whether or not there just should be the ability for outside counsel in general that occurs in the city attorney section as opposed to multiple sections repeated. I have both in city controller and then elections and voting and then in city attorney. I think it's better to be housed in the same place. So I guess I'm supportive of that, but parsing out one and migrating it.
And then, would we need to redo the last motion then? Or no?
I don't think we motioned on that one yet.
Well,
first.
I guess in this motion we can include.
They are a little different in that, whereas section in C, there's nothing really about outside counsel.
Okay.
Whereas I believe what the city controller is asking for is specifically outside counsel, which is different from section C, which are different versions of lawyers within the city. Outside counsel means hiring Smith, and Smith that work, in Century City or downtown, which isn't really, might be considered in some of our research in section C, but it is still, there is difference in what we're hearing from the city controller.
So in this section, could we
yes, sorry.
motion or could we request that you add an outside counsel option in section C that also overviews the city controller but other offices like a different agency?
I mean, the thing to think about here is if you make, an appointed city attorney or bifurcate it, so, you have a in-house, city attorney non-elected, right? Where the perception of bias is removed, do departments need to hire outside counsel?
Yeah. Okay, so it does exist implicitly, so you could explicitly write that in the law. I still think that having that specific piece in the city controller's section is needed.
I mean, there is a section in the charter where, you can get outside counsel now. So I think it would be, you'd want to look at that section.
Yeah, I'm like, yes, but the report literally states the otherwise.
Yes.
Of,
You can,
Yeah.
but you have to go through one of two options.
Yes. What I'm saying is, if you're looking for ways for departments to, make it easier for them to utilize outside counsel, I guess it would make more sense to be looking at that charter section on outside counsel and how to reform that. Because there is a provision in the charter now to get outside counsel.
Okay. That's how
This is all really good discussion, which will inform our research as we delve.
I think that it will.
Yeah.
Commissioner Mack, do you have any feedback or any thoughts before I continue that?
I think the only thing that flagged for me in this section was also looking at number 4. I think I just wanted more clarity around the situation around controller and city attorney. I think similarly, questions that you're raising, I'm also curious about as well.
Okay. Commissioner Fuentes, before I make a motion, I think that I'm in favor of at least directing staff to migrate that section, that option 4 to the city attorney section, and to expand not just on the controller's supposed need for outside counsel, but other agencies that might have expressed that, and specifically looking at the charter provision that allows outside counsel with specific exceptions. Any feedback on that before I make a motion?
yeah, and just because this is the one that's striking the fellow commissioners as well, if we could have a case study, like I asked for last time, about this specifically, allowing the controller to hire.
We weren't able to research in that amount of time to.
No worries at all, but
that would
by
be-
the time it goes back to the, okay, perfect.
Okay.
Because I think that would be so helpful in this conversation here.
Absolutely.
I think with all of that in mind, and I'm still waiting on CAO's recommendations that might affect some of these, I'm happy to motion actually to move forward with D, but with the condition that the ability to hire outside counsel is migrated to the city attorney's office, that there is more information about that, including the pullout that Commissioner Fuentes asked for, and then also if any other agencies have expressed similar issues with that provision of the charter.
I'd support that.
Great. We have a motion and a second. We'll go into a vote. The chair votes yes. Commissioner Fuentes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
And then Commissioner Mack.
Yes.
Great. That sounds good. To me. And then for elections and voting, actually, we will go through.
Just to clarify, so we're moving forward everything in section D?
Basically,
with that one?
with 4 getting migrated elsewhere, but yes.
Okay.
For further research, and then obviously the full commission or, our committee could parse that down, but I'm still waiting to see what happens with the other, citywides before we get rid of anything prematurely. Good. So yeah, for elections and voting, since these are dissimilar again, linked but dissimilar, we can move through 1, 2, 3, 4 at the same time, either for further research or recommendations. 1 through 4, 1 through 5. Okay, so I think talking about ranked choice voting, and this would be ranked choice voting as it pertains to single member districts, because we have multi-member and single member options that we're moving forward with as a reminder. And I kind of actually, even though these are in elections and voting, moving this up and marrying it with the specific sections like elections and voting, ranked choice voting as it affects single member districts, proportional as it affects multi-member districts, just moving this section up so it's clearer.
There's a lot of cross.
They're very similar. But yeah, let's start with ranked choice voting, which is page 35. I'm also talking, so if anybody wants to talk about ranked choice voting, feel free.
So I would like to dive deeper into ranked choice voting and MPRCV. Specifically, some of our presenters have shared that we should do more research in terms of the implementation of RCVs of cities that have already implemented it. I'll be interested in seeing that as number one, as something we continue to move forward with. But also two, we mentioned it in previous meetings, I would like for us to try to reach out to the LA County Registrar Recorder Office and talk to Dean Logan, because they will ultimately be the ones that are part of the implementation process if we were to do this. And so we've heard from discussion with presenters that Dean Logan is on board with it, but I would like to hear from him and have kind of him share his insights. I think there is value to that and making this a full commission conversation.
Yeah, and I agree. Even if we can't, schedule them in to give a presentation, I think if we can request a letter from the cities that have implemented any of these, the county, they could help guide and then be an attachment that we could review. That would be helpful.
I imagine if you move forward with this, we'll look at Redondo Beach, who's the our closest neighbor that just implemented this, and of course Portland and San Francisco, etc.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Fuentes, do you have any thoughts before we?
I'd like to move forward with 1, 2, 4, and then move 5, as you suggested.
Okay. Yeah, and I agree with that. Is that a formal motion then?
Yes.
Okay, good. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay. We actually can discuss if needed, and I just want to take this time to mention that would mean that we'll be disposing of star voting, and while I really appreciate all of our advocates that have come and spoke about this, I do think that since it's so untested, LA's a big city that rarely changes, and I don't think this is the time to treat LA as a test grounds for a national change with a different voting type. But as a reminder, this commission will meet again in a couple of years in the next decade, so feel free to bring it back in the future. Any other discussion before we go into a vote on this motion? Okay. Let's go to a vote. The chair votes yes. Commissioner Fuentes?
Yes.
Commissioner Mack?
Yes.
Great. Staff, do you have that?
Yeah. Did we get the second? No. Who was the second?
Oh, who's the second?
I see.
Oh, she did.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Yeah, okay.
I wasn't sure if I heard that. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Great. Now we'll move into section F, which is amending the city council meeting schedule.
I guess, I'm sorry, I think did we not do a no change for that technically? So it's either amend or no change.
Well, yeah, it's only one option.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. It's amend or no change, yeah. So yeah, this is amend the city council meeting schedule or a no change option that is implicit here. There's not multiple options, so I'm okay with that being an implicit no change. Any discussion on amending the city council meeting schedule before we have a formal vote? I'll start off actually by mentioning that controversial, right? Because they would have to fit more stuff into less days, but I'm fine with giving city council more purview over their agenda without requiring them to meet a specific number of days in charter in general. Obviously, I think there should be baseline minimums and things. But even though they meet 3 days a week right now, I know that their Friday meetings are typically
presentation.
Yeah, it's not like a full meeting.
And since you've already directed us to look at mayoral authorities, if you direct us to look at this, there's a lot of overlap. If if we're looking at expanding mayor authorities, some of the work that the city council does at their 3 meetings, and if they meet less, could be shifted, and we'll look at research at shifting some of those authorities to the mayor's office, to departments or commissions, etc. That would enable council to have that change in meeting schedule, and the work still get done for the city.
If we amended the meeting schedule, I know you have to research this more, but that would still mean that there's more time for committees to meet because they'd now be larger if there's a larger city council. Yeah, can you just?
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple ways of doing it, I mean, basically you could just, instead of requiring 3, require, 1, and like, it could be up to the discretion of like the council president, right, to set the schedule.
Yeah.
And then, this is one that dovetails into mayoral powers, as Justin mentioned, because for example, we could look at things that like, right now, budget items, they're appropriate in the budget, but to actually like move them into accounts, they have to go through council. So we could like change the, threshold for that, also for like housing projects that have to go, so there's ways that we could look at streamlining like the volume of stuff that has to go to council, which would.
Yeah, and I'm definitely, if this committee moves forward, I'm interested to see that, especially, I know some advocates have talked about some items on the agenda, if council doesn't put them on the agenda and vote on them, it's considered an automatic, approval, so they'd have to. So I think can you do some, if it moves forward, can you do some more research on like those kinds of, and just what you had mentioned, like ways that we could alleviate the amount of work council does and shift it to a different body, whether it's a bureaucrat or a mayor or an elected.
Yeah, definitely. We have to do a lot of work on this one just to both look at, the ramifications, in other places in the charter and how things are approved, and also like the volume of stuff.
Okay. Do my fellow commissioners have any thoughts before we entertain a motion?
Before we go into what, I had a couple of
That's
thoughts
fine, yeah.
first. Yeah, before we go into that, I think also would be interested in getting more research on it. I think something that is in the report that stood out to me is the idea, and would like staff to look into this more, of Fair Rep LA proposed that perhaps looking into median reduction be tied to expanding the city council to kind of have that conversation around increased representation and more touch point with constituent. I would be interested in learning more about what that could look like.
Sorry, could you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, I think I'm referring in the staff report in section F, under issue, the first bullet point, I would be interested in kind of doing a deeper dive on what that could look like, and if that's feasible, or an option that we can have.
So, I mean, looking at the meeting schedule in terms of expanding council, so if you expand to X number, then how many council days you need? Because that was their thing, right, I think their comment was, if you make more members, you have more representation, so it makes it easier to have less council days.
Yeah, I think tying the amending city council with the conversation around expansion. I think want to hear more and see what is possible in that lane.
Yeah.
So I think for that, just to clarify, then I would be interested in moving forward to get more research on this.
Yeah, and I think, if we're looking at cities with really large councils like New York or Chicago, their councils tend to meet less, so there sort of is a relationship between council size and how often they meet, it seems like.
And we could do a deeper dive into that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think what we're hearing is a lot of these decisions, even though they're in separate boxes and letters, none of them are in a vacuum. There's so many interconnectivity and in the nervous system of all of these.
Yeah.
Thanks. Commissioner Fuentes, before we have a motion, did you want to share?
No, I'm happy to move this forward.
Okay.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, great. On this one, the chair, or do we have any further discussion before we go? Okay.
Oh, yes, I just wanted to appreciate Commissioner Mack's comments, and I do agree with those as well.
Actually, I second that. I totally agree with Commissioner Mack's comments, and I appreciate you uplifted that. Now, we can move into a vote. The chair votes yes, Commissioner Fuentes.
Yes.
And Commissioner Mack.
Yes.
Great.
Warp speed, guys.
Okay, yes, but also I feel like we've been prepped adequately,
Yes,
and you all put so much time, and we had such a thorough discussion last time on what this report contains, so we feel well prepped. If I can speak for the commissioners here.
Yeah, I mean, we've had so many meetings on all of these, and we've had really good presentations that have prepared us. But now moving into section G, which is expanding eligibility and appointment authorities for commissioners. And there's a new section actually here that we hadn't seen last time, which is expanding the voting electorate for the city and LA USD elections. So since we haven't seen that entire section before, I'd love it if staff could just explain a little bit about it.
Sure. Again, because this wasn't last time, when we've heard some of the public comment out there, and some of the, we do a deeper dive. What we have, I believe, in here is basically just what was brought to us by RLA. So we haven't done more outreach or more research into it. But and there are cities that are exemplifying this and lowering the age for voting on these specific races. Obviously, we wouldn't there'd be impacts on the ballot. And again, I think back to Commissioner Mack's point about outreach with Dean Logan and clerk registrar, county registrar, on if you have a ballot for a 16-year-old, they can't vote on the same things that their parent is voting on because of federal law. For example, so they can't vote for their Congress member, but maybe they're voting for their council member. So we do a lot of research on that as well. So what we have here is just what was sent to us by RL.
Yes. Thanks. So I think, for this section, we're going to go 1 through 5 by itself. I mean, we might do 2 and 3 together, but we'll start with 1 by itself. Do we have any top-line takeaways from other commissioners about lowering the voting age and expanding the electorate for city and LAUSD elections?
I think generally just want to see more, kind of what Justin was saying. I would like to see more research on this.
Yeah.
Will play out, yeah.
I think that's fair. I'm interested in more research. I guess for at least a youth voting age, I'm not necessarily in favor of that at the current moment. I haven't seen many advocates even talk about that besides RLA in their presentation, and it wasn't top line. So I'm open to going either way, but happy to look for more research on this. But Commissioner Fuentes, do you have any?
Yeah, I'm fully in support of this. I'd also say if we're gonna get more research on it in general, besides what RLA has provided, I think coming up with a few other issues for this section would be helpful.
Yeah, that's true. And I think for the issue of non-citizen parents in particular, if I recall, there's actually a California court case about that or a Supreme Court case about that. Because I know in other cities like San Francisco have implemented that, and it's either being litigated or recently got disposed of. So I'm actually happy to get more information so we can see some procedural posture and more information about this before we decide to dispense or go forward with it.
And I think a clarification on my end, like for this piece of expanding the voting electorate for city and LAUSD, like does it have to be city and LAUSD together have to be identical, or could it look different for both? Like city versus LAUSD?
That's a good question that I don't have an answer for.
Yeah, and so I think for that reason, I would like to see that research.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna motion on this. I'm gonna motion for further research, but not necessarily for committee approval, because I think that's premature. So when you send this full document, rewrite my motion in the way that's germane, but when you send this full document to the commission, I don't want it to look like our committee is fully in support of this, just that we're asking for more information before we make a decision.
So if I'm hearing you, it's a motion for more research, but not support on what?
Yes, and not non-support either. It's a motion for more research and an abstention of support. Do I have a second?
Second.
Great. Do we have further discussion? Okay. We can start with our vote now. The chair votes yes. Commissioner Fuentes?
Yes.
And Commissioner Mack?
Yes.
I guess we can talk about in this section. Oh, I lost my tracker. In this section, we can talk about items of youth participation in commissions and allowing non-citizens and non-registered participants to vote in commissions together, but we can decide if the motion actually doesn't do that. But basically, the staff report, and I'll start off by giving some feedback before we have a motion. But the staff report actually says that the only charter commissions right now are Board of Public Works, among a couple of others that are really big commissions, like technically our commission's not even chartered, which is, different discussion for a different day. But a lot of the commissions that we're thinking about when it relates to expanding the electorate, that means that we'd be allowing, potentially high schoolers who have to join a Board of Public Works, which is a 40-hour-a-week job, right?
They will, commissioners on that board will say that, yes.
Yes, okay. So I think that's definitely something to think about right now if we move this forward, but do we have any other feedback from our team? Because a lot of this could, since the other commissions are done in ordinance, this could be an ordinance level. Okay.
Nope.
City Attorney,
City Attorney,
thank you.
Just a point of clarification.
Go for it.
Harith Trivedi, City Attorney's Office. There is a charter provision that says charter created commissions, members of those commissions have to be registered voters.
Okay.
So that continues over. That also applies, I believe, to commissions that govern certain types of departments. So a charter change would be required if you want to proceed with changing that requirement for more than just the commissions in the charter, but also commissions that are created by ordinance, if they fall within.
If they fall within those specific.
That's right.
Okay. That's helpful. Anything from my fellow commissioners?
Yeah, based off of that, I would still want to move this forward.
Okay, both or just one or the other?
And an option would be, if city attorney agrees with this language, maybe to look at language that would affect non-charter, if you want to direct us on non-charter commissions as opposed to charter commissions.
Yeah, and can we actually, if we put this forward, a list even of what commissions would be affected in what particular way? Like I would a list of chartered versus non-chartered commissions, and then commissions that oversee departments versus commissions that don't, I think would be helpful. Commissioner Mack, anything before?
I think because we're looking already at this first section around voting electorate and expanding that, I think we should still look at 2 and 3 for that reason of consistency. I think also just overall where I'm at is I think these are 2 huge populations that reside in LA, and so I think it is worth looking into whether or not there is something that we can do for this round of charter reform.
Yeah, and I totally see that, and I think that the whole point of the Charter Reform Commission is to increase representation, at least to look at areas that make sense and it's practical to increase representation. In my view of it, obviously that might not be the reason I was casting ordinance, but I think with that in mind, and since we're doing it with the other number 1, could we actually have I'll make a similar motion to direct staff to give us further research, because I'd like to see the list, and not necessarily taking, just copy the same language, but the TLDR is not taking a stance either way, but directing staff to get more language before we have, a vote either which way on this.
Okay.
Do we have a second with that?
I'll second that.
I'll recognize Commissioner Fuentes since Matt got the last one. Any more discussion on this? Great, then we'll go to a roll call again. The chair votes yes. Commissioner Fuentes?
Yes.
And Commissioner Mack?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, and we have two more. There's not no, and a no change, but no change can stay there. Okay, so 4 is changing how commissioners are appointed.
I think I just had a quick question with this one. Who presented this reform? I think just because it's missing from this staff report.
That came from the mayor's office, their commission staff.
Okay, so I have a question on this actually. So removing the requirement for boards to hold elections on the last meeting of July, that means that since there's that requirement, the mayor has to make all of those appointments before the election, obviously, right? So it's them asking for the timeline to be removed or changed.
Yeah, from my understanding, it's just kind of some adjustments to the timeline to make it easier for the board to function, because it's a pretty tight timeline in terms of, I guess, when they have to appoint and then when the board has to approve.
Yeah, it makes sense. I will speak candidly. There was no timeline, obviously, for the appointment of our commission, and the mayor's appointments were delayed relative to other political appointees. So I think if we do move forward with this, I'd like to figure out, and staff to recommend some guardrails that we could place on it, not just omitting the timeline altogether, but figuring out how to amend it that makes sense, for the mayor's priorities, but also making sure that it actually happens. Do any of my fellow commissioners have comments on this, or is there a motion?
I'll be interested in seeing that as well.
I agree.
Okay. Do we have a motion for this one? I've given the last two, if anybody wants to. I'm more than happy. Yeah.
Did we skip 3?
I think we did 2 and 3 together.
Oh,
Did we? Did we?
I thought it was 1 and 2 were together.
I feel like, yeah.
You did 2 and 3 together, you did 1 separate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Is that too? Thank you.
Thank you.
It's okay. But yes, yeah, for 4, do we have a motion for 4 then? I'll motion then. I motion for further research on this one, not taking a stance either way. Same language. I guess this section will have a lot of similar language.
And I mean, all of these are further research, right? We're not
Exactly.
approving.
Yes, but this one on the agenda will say further research. Yes.
And then will be reflected, yes.
Great. Do I have a second for that?
Second. I second.
Great. Do we have any further discussion on this? Okay. Great. The chair votes yes. Commissioner Fuentes
Yes.
and Commissioner Mack.
Yes.
The last section, part of this section, is to provide appointment authority power to additional government bodies. Any thoughts on that before we have a motion? I think, yeah, Max.
I mean, this one might be helpful to kind of go over the charter a little bit too.
Okay.
So, there is a provision now, if the mayor fails to submit an appointment to the council within 45-day period, then it goes to the council president. And then, so there are, we kind of talked about in the staff report, but basically there are provisions now in terms of Commissioner Fuentes' point about the timeline where it goes to other bodies. And then, ordinance created commissions, a lot of them do have provisions where other members get to appoint, like Charter Commission, for example, so.
Any thoughts from my colleagues on the dais? I'm okay with moving this forward, especially because I think it fits into the mayor aspect. If we expand the power of the mayor, maybe keeping it could make sense, or moving it. I think that there's just more context needed about how this fits in with other pieces that are still being developed, so I'm okay with moving this forward.
I agree with that framing. And I'll second that.
Great. Okay, so that was a motion to move this one forward too, and we had a second from Commissioner Fuentes. Do we have further discussion, or does staff need anything before we vote on this?
Is that a research item as well?
Yeah, let's make that a research item with particular research requested about how it fits in when you do your mayoral power expansion research too, that we're still meeting. Great, so we have a motion and a second discussion. Okay, seeing no need for discussion, let's hold a vote. The chair votes yes. Commissioner Fuentes?
Yes.
Commissioner Mack?
Yes.
Great. Wow, that was actually really expeditious. Well, thank you. Since we did a lot of motions, we don't need to receive and file for the full document, or we do?
No, since you've already received and filed the report at a previous meeting, I think we're good on that. I'll just note for the public that the next step on these subjects, other than staff doing research is that we've tentatively scheduled a meeting on government structure for the entire commission. Oh, I think I just scrolled past it. Hold on. Where is this? Is it the January date?
It's in January.
January, yeah, sorry. Okay, that I was right. January 7th, the charter, the full commission will deliberate on what was discussed today with additional research from us. And then we'll go from there.
That sounds good. Yeah, okay, so just to reiterate for the public, all of this discussion, this document will now go to our full commission. We'll have deliberations at that body, of which we are all members. And there will be time for them to either proceed directly or refer things back to our committee as needed. And we'll go from there. So I look forward to seeing you all again in January. Seeing that we have nothing else on our agenda, do we have a motion to adjourn today's meeting?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Seeing no objection, today's meeting is adjourned. Thank you for coming and see you again.
Thank you, commissioners.